Good morning, boys and girls. Today we are going to continue from the lesson of yesterday, talking about division strategies using the present purchase and having a little math forum or discussion about it and looking at what happens when you double or half the dividend divisor and how that affects your quotient. The learning objective or main idea for the lesson is that you can use various multiplication and division strategies in solving a problem. So let's go look at our first problem. Now, again, this is continued from yesterday's lesson of present purchase. We did the first three, looking at what happens when your dividend doubles and your divisor stays the same, or your dividend stays the same and your divisor doubles, how that affects your quotient. Going to kind of give some more examples of that today. So this problem, after much discussion, the group decided that Joanna and her original 7 friends would purchase one book, and the other group would get a different gift. If Joanna's group purchased plain wrapping paper, it would cost $1.60. How much additional money would the 8 friends each need to give to buy the wrapping paper? So let's think. What is the big question this problem's asking? Well, how much would each of the 8 friends need to give to buy the wrapping paper? Okay, so do we know the total, or are we trying to find the total? And in this case, we know the total. It's $1.60. So if we know the total, we know it's going to be a division problem. Our total is $1.60, and we're splitting that between 8 friends. Okay, now the best thing to do when you're dividing with money is kind of take the decimal out. So think of it as doing 100, or think of it as if you take the decimal out, that's 160 cents. Okay, $1.60 is 160 cents. So if 8 friends are trying to split 160 cents, how much would they each pay? And in this case, you could, again, we said a fraction is another way of showing a decimal. So I could do, hey, what's 160 over 8? Well, that kind of gives us the same problem, 160 divided by 8. Or, again, set up a ratio table, okay? And if I do, hey, if 1 is 8, each person gives 1 cent, that's 8 cents, and I have a total of 160 cents, okay? So the first thing I could do is, again, make a jump, make easy jumps of 10. 10, that'd be 8 times 10 is 80. And if I doubled that again, let's see, 10 doubled would be 20, and 80 doubled would be 160. Oh, so right there, I have my 160. The other thing I can do that's going to help us when we get to Unit 7 and looking at standard or long division is if I look, can an 8 go into a 1? No. So then I look at my first 2 place values. How many 8s can go into 16 without going over? Oh, 2 times 8 is 16. And then I don't have anything left. I just have a 0, so I fill the place value, and it's 20. So now is where the decimal comes into play. Well, okay, 20 what? Well, I have how many decimal place values? I have 1, 2. So I would need to move the decimal 2 place values, 1, 2, which would put the decimal in front of the 20, which would be 20 cents. Or if you think about this as 160 cents, so you could write it either as, with the cent sign, or you could write it in dollar and cents notation and put $0 and 20 cents. Both ways would work. Okay, let's go down and look at the next problem. It says one friend mentioned that she saw glitter wrapping paper for $3.20. If the 8 friends chose this, how much would they each have to spend on it? Okay, so again, trying to figure out how much they would each have to spend on it. We know the total is $3.20, so 3, and if we know the total, we know it's going to be a division problem. Divided by 8 equals, let's just put x in this case, use a different variable other than n. So $3.20 divided by 8. Or again, you could think of it as 320 cents. Okay, so now I'm going to make a ratio table. 1 is 8, and I'm taking that to 320 cents. Okay, if each friend pays 8 cents, it's going to be 8 cents. What each friend pays 1 cent, that's going to be 8 cents. How much? Now, if I kind of skip making the jumps and I'm just looking at place values, can an 8 go into a 3? Nope. So then I have to go to the first two place values. And this is where having your basic facts known will help. 8 times what gets me closest to 32 without going over? Well, I know 8 times 4 is 32. So that would be it. And then what do I have left? I have one place value and I have 0. 4 times 8 is 32. So 8 times 40 would be 320. Or you could, again, make the jumps. 10 is 80. 20 would be 160. And then if you double 20, that would get you 4. Well, if I double 20, that would get me 40. And 160 doubled is 320. So now again, remember, I said this lesson was about making connections to what happens when our dividend doubles. So if you notice, 320 is twice as much as 160. So what happens when our dividend doubles, but our divisor stays the same? So the amount that we have to pay is twice as much, but there's still only 8 people paying it. Well, if you have to pay twice as much, but you're still splitting it between 8 people, those 8 people are going to have to pay twice as much. And in that case, it's true. Here they paid 20 cents, and in here they're going to pay 40 cents. So in here they're going to pay $0.40. So again, just kind of making that connection that if your dividend doubles and your divisor stays the same, your quotient is going to end up doubling. And mathematically, it makes sense because, again, you're paying twice as much, but there's still only 8 people paying for it. So they're going to have to pay twice as much, okay? All right, let's look at one last problem. It says, Joanna also wanted to get ribbons and bows to decorate her package. Must be a fancy package. If the total cost for wrapping, decorating is $6.40, how much would each friend spend? So again, trying to figure out how much each of them would spend. We know the total is $6.40. So we're doing, if we know the total, we're dividing $6.40 divided by 8 equals, let's do L. Use it in different letter for a variable. Now, I'm going to scroll up and see if you can make a connection. Here we have $3.20 divided by 8. Here we have $6.40 divided by 8. So hopefully, like you're starting to, like a flag's going up and you're like, oh, could we figure this out without even doing any work? If we know, so our dividend, hopefully you realized and saw, hey, our dividend doubled. Our divisor stayed the same. So what happens to our quotient or our answer if our dividend doubles, our divisor stays the same? If this was 40, what's our answer going to be then? Okay, well, let's think, okay? Let's just go again and hopefully you realized and said, oh, our quotient's going to double. And if you realize that, that saves you a bunch of work by having to do a ratio table. But let's just do the ratio table instead. I mean, also, 1 again is 8, and I'm taking that to 640 cents. Okay. Now, again, I'm going to go the first route, looking at place value and trying to make the connection on place value because that'll help when we get to long division. Can an 8 go into a 6? Nope. So then I'm going to look at the first 2 place values. How many 8s can go into 64 without going over? Okay. Knowing your basic math facts, 8 times 8 is 64. And if that's 64, well, 64 minus 64 is 0. That's 0. And I have 0 left. So I have 1 place value left. So it's going to be 80. And look, 80 is double of 40. And again, I could do a jump of 10, a jump of 20, a jump of 40, a jump of 80 until I get there. But if you can make that connection of our dividend doubled and our divisor stayed the same. So again, they're going to be paying twice as much, but we still only have 8 people paying it, which means each person's going to have to pay twice as much. So again, just kind of making that connection and showing some other division strategies and also kind of starting to get into looking at place value when we do division problems. I hope that makes sense and I hope that helps, and I'll see you around for the next lesson. Make it a great day.